Back here on Busted Open, Dave LaGreca, Mark Henry, and for a first time ever in the almost 10 years that we've been on the air, Mark, I welcome in one of the greats in the history of pro wrestling, one of the greatest characters in the history of pro wrestling. I give you, Mark, Goldust. How are you today, sir?
Hey, man, what do you mean this is the first time in 10 years I've been on Busted Open?
Yes, sir.
Really?
I've never interviewed you before.
Jeez, I thought I've been on there before. All right. Well, cool, man. That's the first for everything. History. History's being made.
History is being made. So there was some debate on what to call you. There was some debate on what to call you when we would bring you in. Dave was like very respectful. He was like, should we call him Mr. Runnels? Should we call him Dustin? I was like, let's call him Goldie.
Yeah, Goldie's good, man. Everybody knows Goldie. Or you could call me CD. Mark knows what that is.
Yeah.
What's that?
Oh, chicken. What's going on?
Chicken. Well, you can say the D word on the radio, but we'll refrain from.
Well, it's the first time he's on the show. I'm not about to throw any kind of coarse language at a guest, Mark. I mean, you could do that. I'm certainly not going to do that. He
brought it up.
Yeah, throw as much coarse language as you want to.
Well, I mean, go ahead, Mark, because you guys have a relationship. You were tagging for some time too. So, Mark, the floor is yours with our guest today.
So my first thing is, you've been around a long time, and that's not a bad thing because I'm there too. We have our own organization in the back,
right.
And I don't know. Maybe we should let our T-shirts out. Let them know.
We should do that. I think
because Dave is actually
should do that.
Dave would love it. Dave would love it.
Do you think Dave would be a member of it?
Yeah, he's 47.
Okay, so he's up there with us.
Yeah, I'm right there. 47. It's been a hard life for me too, man. So I'm right with you guys.
So you want to explain how our little group came together?
Well, should we tell them the name first? Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
You go ahead.
So we're the damn, I've been hitting the head a lot now. It's the ORs, old and rich, but not the old and rich now. But we've had a group together.
The name of it.
I'm sitting here, can't think of the name.
Wait, are you guys that old that you teased this name? You asked me to be a part. You asked me to be a part of it. You don't even remember what the name is.
All right, I got it.
Okay.
We are the last of our kind.
Last of our kind.
I like that. See, I like that. I like that a lot better than old and rich because if it was old and rich, I wouldn't be able to join. I got the old part, but I don't get the other part.
So we're the look guys.
All right. I like that.
So,
look, last of our kind.
Everybody over 40 is a look guy. So we had our private dressing rooms and everything. It was awesome.
Yeah, we don't let like the youngins come in.
All right,
they're not allowed in our locker room.
I like that. So they have to. I would think that like the younger members of the roster, just like old school, they have to kind of prove themselves to you. You're not going to just let them in right away. They kind of have to prove themselves.
No, they come in and they try to come in. They get kicked right out. You
can't dress in here.
Like me and Mark Henry. You got Booker T. All of us. R-Truth, and Glenn, Kane, and Taker, of course, and, there's very few that are allowed in there. And if you come in there, you better be prepared to get kicked right out because they go in the talent locker room. We go in a special locker room, the last of our kind guys.
Usually the one that's got couches in it.
Yeah. Couches.
A private bathroom aside
really nice.
Everybody.
All right, so let me ask you this, and this is something that our other co-host, Mark Bully Ray, talks about on this show, a lot. And that is the sense of entitlement sometimes with the younger generation of wrestlers. Do you feel with the younger generation of wrestler that there is a sense of entitlement?
I hate that, because to me, even though I came with a name, with Dustin being Dusty's son,
mm-hmm.
he booked me in the right way and made me pay my dues. And for a couple of years, I made $20 a night, and it was the best time of my life. So these kids that come in today, man, they come in to train now at NXT, and they're under contract, and they get all this money thrown at them just to train, man. If I could do that, just to have a contract and go train, man, it'd be like I would want to never leave. It's like they have this entitlement, like the world the world owes them something more than what they're doing right now, and they don't realize that you got to prove yourself. To me, at least, it's a deal of you got to earn that respect. You got to work hard. You got to keep your mouth closed. You have to learn as much as you can, and just listen to what the veterans that know what the hell they're doing teach you, and then learn from that, and then go on. You say 5, 6, 7 years. Once you've got your foot kind of planted in, you can kind of start taking the reins a little bit, and doing things on your own. But to me personally, I don't think anybody coming in should say a word for at least a couple of years, because it's like we owe them something, man. And that upsets me. I don't know if it upsets Mark, but
yeah, it visibly does. And one of the things that I always liked about you, you led in a different way than I did. You would actually have at least 5 or 6 people standing at ringside, and you would have them doing stuff, and you would show them one time, and then you would be like, okay, like now you do it. And who's kind of your star of all of the people that you go to the ring every TV? I would see you go get dressed 3:00, and you'd be standing at ringside waiting to see who was going to come out and get some extra work. Who was the one that stood out to you the most, that worked the hardest?
He's not with us anymore, but Darren Young was like one of those who really was like a sponge for the business, and loves and wants to learn so much, and is already really good. And I'm just surprised that he's not here anymore. Darren was always there, man. God, there's so many over the years. They come and go. Some of the girls, they would get in there and roll around and work. Lana was one of them, and she's learning. Mandy Rose, she's learning a lot.
We had Lana in here last week, on the 4th. The show was here in Austin, and we had them come in to be on. Well, they were here in the studio and just happened to see me in here and say, hey, man, what are you doing? I was like, I'm doing the show right now. Y'all should come on. And they came on, and I brought that up. I was telling Lana that I respected the fact that she's gotten so much better, and I appreciated watching her go out to the ring and practice with you and Fit day after day.
Man.
And she's a hard worker, man. What about her made you kind of, take her on as kind of like a understudy?
She wanted to learn, and somebody who wants to learn and gives their time to me and listens and does things, even if it's not done right, but she keeps trying and it slowly gets better. That's the type of person that Lana is. And, I hear a lot of things about her now, like on the internet, saying that Vince isn't happy with her because her work is too soft or something like that. look, that stuff comes in time, you know, and it just doesn't happen overnight. I don't think she's the type of person that gets frustrated with what somebody is saying. I think she's the type of person that's going to take it and go, okay, I need to learn from this and grow a little bit and do what I can to elevate myself in the business a little more. I think she's that type. Another person I really think who, when she first got here, I'd known her from the past, and I took her to the side and I started showing her some stuff, and who is a real natural is Ronda Rousey. I think Ronda really, really does want to learn, and she's everything that she has learned so far, or that they've given her, she has taken it and done it good, and is catching on very quickly. One of the quickest I've seen catch on to the business. Now the storytelling and all the psychology and stuff that comes later when you're fresh and brand new. You really don't know how to do that, but she's catching it already at an early age in the business. So just people I see like that, and when they come up and ask me something or ask me how can I do this differently, and I give them something in something that I've done that has worked. You know, might not work for somebody, but it's worth a try. So they go out and try it, and it works. That makes me feel good. It makes me feel like, okay, I'm passing it on, which is my job to do, is pass on my knowledge of what I know in the business to the youngins coming in. And I love that when people want to learn, when the guys and the girls want to come up and ask me questions. If they don't ask me, I'm not going to go to them and say, you need
hey,
to
come to the ring. I want to work with you.
Yeah.
You let them, figure out on their own. You're there. If you want some, come get it. One of the things that we were talking about earlier. Go ahead.
You kind of see, like what you just saying, you kind of see who wants to come out and learn and who doesn't, or who might not have the time, and I give the special time to those people who really want to learn.
We was talking about Ronda earlier. Like, I don't know if I've ever seen anybody other than Kurt Angle learn as fast as she's learning.
Yeah, man.
Is there anybody that you could think of that's on a faster learning curve than her and Kurt?
No.
Wow.
No, I think she's probably one of the ones who on the top that have caught it so quickly, and it's only going to get better.
Yeah. And I was saying 2 years, maybe 3 at the most, but 6 months, man. Like I'm just still like flabbergasted that some of the stuff that she does, and when she does it, it's like instinctively she feels like, oh, I should do this, and she does. And
did you watch the show last night?
I did.
I was at the Ford dealership and I missed the Ronda match with Natty. How was that match?
It was a good match. Well, Ronda actually didn't wrestle. It was a 50-minute gauntlet match to see who was gonna face Ronda next week.
Yeah, they actually taped a match with Natalya and Ronda that's going to air next week on Raw on Christmas Eve. So that's something to look forward to next week. Yeah.
Well, you remember the double shot days?
Homework. Yeah, man. God. Well, thank God they're off for Christmas.
Yeah, at least they are. Because, there was a time when we go home on the 23rd, and then we'd be home the 23rd, 24th, 25th, and then the 25th night we would fly out and have to work on the 26th.
Last year was Christmas when we had to fly out to go to Chicago for freaking Christmas TV Monday Night Raw.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm glad that they kind of learned from that mistake, and they're doing it differently for the superstars this year. And you mentioned about the superstars that come up to you as young wrestlers should ask the veterans about their opinions on their matches. I would think that's something that should happen probably more often than it does. But I want to go back to your start, because I know when you first started, you know, you were tagging with Kendall Windham. Kendall was a mainstay in Florida. You wrestled with Al Perez. Al Perez was a mainstay with World Class Championship Wrestling. Did you do those same things too? Did you, when you were in the locker room, you know, especially in Florida, and so much talent that was in Florida at that time, did you find yourself asking a lot of questions to the talent that was in the roster, that was part of the roster?
I did, but at the same time, back then in those days, it was a lot different than it is now, because you had the majority of the locker room, I would say 95% of the locker room, knew how to work. And all I had to do was shut up and listen. And they always, you know, they took me, whether it be me being Dusty's son or whatever, I don't know. But I appreciate all of them, you know, helping me through. But I shut my mouth and I listened. If I had a question about something, I didn't overdo it, man. I just asked a question and I tried my best to learn from it, or learn from a mistake that I made in the ring. And they would always tell me it. I didn't, you know, I listened. And I did what I was told to do, and I let them tell me and lead me through this until I finally started catching it, man, and it just became easier and easier, you know. But it took a while for me to feel comfortable to go out there and open my mouth, you know what I mean? Because it's just a respect thing for the veterans that have paved the way for me. You know, they're teaching me, so I just need to keep my mouth shut. And it's a lot different now. Now the locker room, there's very few that can work. There's a bunch there, but there's very few that can work as a, you know, compared to way back in the day. And it's a lot harder.
You had a long career. What was the time in your career where you felt like, I'm the most comfortable, I'm having the most fun, it's easy for me to get up and do this? Like, what time was that? What time period?
Oh, God, man. I always get nervous every time I go out, and it's like always in gorilla position, and then as soon as you go through the curtain, it all goes away. And I still get nervous today, and I tell the kids, I say, you know, nerves are a good thing, it means you care. But I think probably in the last 10 years, I've felt the most comfortable, to where it's a breeze. It's easy. You know, at the very beginning of my career, though, was the funnest I've ever had. And I wasn't making money. I was making $20 a night and working every night, but learning. That's the funnest time I've had in the business in 30 years. And but this last 10 years, especially the time period with Booker and Cody and family stuff, man, when we're doing storyline-driven angles and things like that, that was the funnest to me, I think.
I always enjoy watching you and Cody interact. Like, you got to be real proud of little bro for the stuff that he's doing.
He's doing great, you know, and he's doing stuff outside of the E and doing stuff on his own, and he's making good money. And, you know, he's trying to, he keeps reinventing himself, and he's doing a great job at it. You know, when they took his Rhodes name, because, you know, when he signed on at the beginning, they had it. So it's like, yeah, he's just Cody, but everybody knows he's Cody Rhodes, and he's just taking things, and I watch his new outfits and his new gimmicks and things that he does on, like the Ring of Honor and all the other independent stuff. And he's just really, he's stepping it up a notch for the independent scene, and he's becoming a pretty good draw out there.
And a good businessman. Like, you could tell that he took what he learned from Dusty and what he learned from Vince, and he was able to parlay that into being a businessman of his own, and he's a leader. He gets the other guys together and shows them like where they need to be and what it's going to take to get there, because he's been there. Has he ever like tried to corral you and get you to join the dark side?
You know, back when he was doing that All In, he texted me and then called me, and was like, "Can you come do the All In?" I said, "I cannot because I'm under contract, with WWE." And I asked them, and they told me I could not do it. So I told Cody that he was kind of heartbroken and couldn't really understand it because he is still young. But I think after time went on, and his All In was a success, and he's just doing great things. He kind of understood because I'd had a signing up in New York, and I saw him, and we talked a little bit about it, and he understood at that point. But I think he was upset that I couldn't be there to watch him win the world title, and I was upset. I really was. I wanted to be there, but they wouldn't let me. And I understand business is business, and you got to do what you got to do. So hopefully, I'm still in a contract right now, and with the WWE, and I'm on injury reserve right now with my knee surgeries, and so I don't know what's happening. I'm 49 years old, almost 50. 30 years is a long time, so I'm not sure what the future holds, the immediate future holds for me in the business. I know I want to act. I've done a few movies, and I want to do more because that's a lot of fun. It's a lot easier on the body. I know you've been in a couple movies.
Amen.
Yeah, it's fun. I love that. But I think we learned a lot from the WWE and how to do the backstage and the pre-tapes and the promos and things like that. That helped us a lot because it's a lot easier to be in front of the camera and to just interact with people than it would be if you're just coming fresh off the street without any training.
Well, I was lucky enough to have one of those American Rebel cigars last week. It's a smooth smoke, so I'm sure you've probably had one already.
Yeah, I have. I just got a box in the mail 2 days ago, and I had my first one the other night, and it is pretty smooth. I like it. I got to
share the wealth, brother. I'm down the street.
Yes, you are.
I'm so glad that you just told off on yourself. We got a little spot down here on 360 and Westlake Drive, man. I'll be waiting on you at 3:00.
There's the box that comes in. It's pretty cool. There's a lot of cigars in there too. So
that was not a yes.
I'll get you some.
When it comes to the WWE, you kind of like like the old Yankee manager Billy Martin, who had like about 5 or 6 5 or 6 times that he was hired by the WWE, and you've had a lot of those opportunities with the WWE, and you're still under contract. Could you find yourself, and I know you talked about the acting, but could you find yourself maybe being a trainer with the WWE, working at the Performance Center? Is that a direction you would like to go into?
That's always an option. I don't think right now it is because I have these other dreams, and I want to follow those right now. But definitely, me passing on my knowledge to the kids has always been something. I want to open up a school. As far as me picking up and moving to Orlando, I don't want to really do that because that's kind of what's necessary to become a trainer at NXT, at the Performance Center and stuff. And going back on what you were saying, me 5 or 6 times coming in and out and things like that. I think that this last run has probably been my longest, and it's all because I got clean and sober. That's the only reason that it has lasted so long, that I've kept a level head and not walked out on things and not got pissed off and gotten fired. And I've just done what I'm supposed to do, and I've worked hard, and I'm very proud of myself for that.
Well, so are we, because being around, I remember a time when, it was hard for people to pass the drug test. People would, use alcohol and in excess. And can you tell, what was the tipping point? What made you say, you know what, this is it? This is the lowest I've been, and this is the lowest that I'm going to go. I'm going to get some help, and I'm trying to make myself better. When was that point?
Well, I did the TNA for a while in between one of my stints, and it had gotten so bad that I was probably up to 50, 60 pills a day. I was probably into about an 8-ball a week of cocaine. I was into a half a gallon of vodka every single day, and for about 2.5 years straight. And you just keep feeding the beast, man. It's like it was never enough. I couldn't get high anymore. At least I thought I couldn't get high, but people saw it on my face that I was so fucked up, and I didn't give a shit. I'm sorry, I'm cussing. Sorry. I was so messed up. I didn't give a crap. I didn't give a crap about life or anything, man, or anybody, and I trusted no one. And it got so bad that I met my wife now about 12 years ago, and she was with me through the very tail end of my drug and alcohol addiction. Bad, because she wasn't an alcoholic, and she didn't take drugs, and she lost me, and she's told me some stories about it that were just horrifying, man. And it's no wonder that I'm not dead or in prison. And it got really bad, because I remember I would wake up in the middle of the night thinking I need more pills to sleep, and taking 4 or 5 more, and at the tail end, it was a 3-day. I went on a 3-day binge, man, to where, for some reason, the vodka kicked in and worked overtime on me, and I was really drunk, and I never got drunk during the day. Drinking all that vodka and taking all those pills, but I did, and I couldn't kick out of it. So the old thing of, well, let's drink some more and top it off, and maybe that'll kind of level it out. Well, it didn't. And that turned into 2 days of me just taking and taking and taking, and then 3. And I'm in bed one night, and I lived at this time, this is all I could afford, was $200, this little bitty 1-bay garage connected to a house with everything I owned in it. And that's where I lived. And they built it to where they had a little kitchenette in there and a bathroom and enough room for my bed. And I'm laying in bed with my wife, and I just can't kick out, and I'm drunk, and I'm scared, and for some reason, something clicked into my head where I needed to crawl outside and call my dad and reach out to him, who in turn reached out to WWE because of their wellness program, which I will put over 110% because it helped me and saved my life. And I crawled out because I had no cell service. I crawled out. My wife is helping me, and it's raining outside. I have to crawl up a hill to get cell service, to get a bar. And I crawled up there, and I called Dad about 4 in the morning, and said, "I'm had enough. I'm done. I want help. Please, Dad, can you give me some help?" And he called Ann Russo, who was still there, and the next day. And then the day after that, they were all worried I wasn't going to get on the plane. But I had already had it set in my mind, man, that enough's enough, and it's time for me to get help. And I got on the plane, and yes, I loaded up. I loaded up with everything I had, man. I drank. I took pills. I took it all through the airports, through security lines, everything, man. I did not care. I'm going to get help, so I'm going to have one last hurrah. And I got on the plane, and I got off the plane, and I made the driver stop and give me a 12-pack of beer. And I drank that before going into rehab. And as soon as I got to rehab, they checked me in. They put me in the detox unit, and I was there for 8 days. And I came out of detox after 8 days. In about 2 weeks, I started to feel a little bit better. And then before you know it, 30 days comes along, and this has been my home for 30 days, and it's like I'm scared to leave now. But a wife, she came down and she visited. She never left my side, man, and it was like she picked me up, and I was scared. I was scared to leave the grounds of this place because of what I'm going back into. And it's still very, in a haze, man. But as soon as I left that place, I have not turned back. I haven't taken drugs. I haven't had a drop of alcohol for almost 11 years. It's 10 and a half years now.
Wow.
And,
Congratulations, man.
Congratulations.
A lot of people, thank you. A lot of people, it doesn't work, and they got to keep going back and back, and I don't know why it works for me, but I don't want that. And I have these little reminders in my head of my daughter and things, you know, that are really bad thoughts that keep me from going back there. And I don't.
There's a lot of people that idolize us as talents and that love Goldust and love Dustin Runnels. And is there something that you would say to those people that are in a situation like you were in that you would want them to know?
Yeah, sure. You know, everybody has a bad day, but you can go through this bad day and you can do it clean and sober and still have a bad day and it'd be okay. Knowing that it can be okay because you only have today, right now, right here. The past is yesterday. Tomorrow you have no idea what's going to happen. So you have today. And for people that are struggling with drugs and alcohol, if you can get through 1 minute at a time, one step at a time, and then one day at a time. That's all we have is one day. And then focus on tomorrow. And then it becomes easier. And you go to meetings and you have this support group for it, and it teaches you. And I went to AA meetings for 2 years straight, every single night. And you're only supposed to do 90 and 90. That's what they tell you to do. 90 meetings in 90 days. But I did 2 years straight, and it helped me a lot because there were times where that first year I thought a lot about going back to drugs and alcohol, but didn't. But I thought about it. I played with it in my mind a little bit because there's triggers everywhere. And if you can just get through today, the time. And then my dad started telling me this thing over and over and over every single day because I'd see him or talk to him on the phone every day. He would always say, keep stepping. So that I've taken that keep stepping, meaning working the 12 steps, because my stepmom was in the program for a long time, you know. The 12-step program is what helped me through all of this alcoholism and drug abuse. And he just kept saying, keep stepping. So I use that as my hashtag every time, you know, I'm tweeting something that's positive or some inspirational kind of quote or whatever on Twitter. And it would keep stepping, man. It can be okay, man. Just one day at a time. That's all we have, you know.
You have no idea.
Boy, y'all.
No, this was, first of all, thank you so much for sharing that story. Unbelievably inspirational story.
And I know there's people out there that are going to benefit from listening to that. Not just because they're a fan of yours, but you're a man that beat something that has took a lot of people to the grave. And that's the ultimate victory right there. To be able to be strong enough to beat a monster, and you beat a monster.
Yeah, you know, he's on my shoulder. That monster's on my shoulder. All I have to do is turn around and take his hand and let's go for a walk. But I choose not to today. That's all I have is today.
Well, we really appreciate it, and you know what? Thank you so much, because I know there's people listening to you right now that are probably going through some struggles with drugs and alcohol, and I'm sure your story and you sharing your story has inspired a lot of people that have been listening this morning. So I truly appreciate not only the time, but that you were able to share that story with our listeners today. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, guys, I appreciate you too, man.
Well, hopefully this ain't the last time, man, because we didn't get to have no fun. I want to call and have Booker on with you, and because Booker told me that he was gonna come on the show sometime. We just haven't got to it yet, but we definitely got to get Book on the show, and I want y'all both on at the same time, because I don't know if I've ever had a better time in my life than sitting in the locker room with you and him together.
They had some funny moments, man.
Just some funny people, man.
And how about the fact that you just did a 35-minute interview on a wrestling show and we never even brought up Goldust?
That's okay.
Yep.
That's okay.
I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for the time. Thank you so much. And we definitely have to have you on again.
All right, buddy. Mark, I love you, man.
I love you too, man.